Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and I want to welcome you to Major Previews Episode 2. We're back at it, and I can't do my major previews by myself. I'm here with Alex Garcia, aka Beeroke. Tell the people hello.
What's going on, y'all? Episode 2. Thank you for joining us because we outside. So let's get it on.
Yeah, we are shamelessly wearing some exclusive comic book click merch here as a part of Major Issues Preview 2. It's been a blast starting this video series. It's gotten me way more excited for the future of comic books when you just see how many different projects out there that they're really creating. And yeah, I think we should go ahead and get this started. Majority of these books will be coming out in February. So hopefully this episode comes out the very last week of January, giving you guys some time to put in your pre-sale orders for some of these things, because these are books that you guys are going to want to check out. Did you want to go first this time, B-Roke?
Sure. I will happily start it off. Thank you for the love, for the Valentine's Day love that we're about to discuss. I'm gonna go ahead and steal something that I know it should be on everybody's radar. I've been talking about it already on our Facebook page, on the website. Guys, Thundercats #1 by Dynamite Comics by Declan Shelvey and Drew Moss. They are relaunching Thundercats. I have not been one to fall for all the nostalgia traps I feel that have been coming out the last even 10 years by certain industries, whether it's movies, music, and whatnot. But the stuff that Dynamite has been doing, whether it's with Gargoyles, Darkwing Duck, even some of the Disney projects they got going on, have been great. It's just stuff that even when I kind of rolled my eyes at some of these projects, like it's nostalgia bait. I'm not buying it. I'm not going to give it the time of day. But they've been knocking it out of the park. And now that they announced Thundercats #1, the artwork looks gorgeous. They look like they want to pay the correct tribute to the original story, while of course bringing something new to it and fleshing out those characters that those 80s cartoons couldn't quite take the time to do. You got little tastes,
Yeah.
morsels of it in those old cartoons, but now in this book, Declan Shelvey, who's been doing an amazing job on books like Alien, I believe he did some Predator work. He's done a lot of art on some books, and now he's really getting into the writing game. I believe this book is going to continue to follow that suit of the quality of, like I said, of books like Gargoyles and Darkwing Duck. And now with Thundercats, it sounds like it's going to be that it's going to pay homage to, of course, the original action animation that we loved from back in the 80s, while giving us more of that substance that now we're a little bit older that we want from these books. And just from the cover gallery alone and the synopsis of the first issue, it sounds like everybody's on board. It's already at 100, and I want to say about 80,000 pre-orders for this
Oh,
book.
wow.
So even if
I
you're
think
not
I heard a
interested,
rumor. I think I heard a rumor there might have been more if people didn't see a specific Rob Liefeld cover,
no,
variant
what's
cover of
funny,
the
as I look, I get it,
talk to me, talk to me.
I get it. Look, I know there are so many people who love that 90s art, who love Rob
Oh
Liefeld,
boy.
who will collect Rob Liefeld regardless. I'm not one of them. That cover he put out, Rob, I'm sorry if you're hearing this, it's not good. Every other cover to me looks way more interesting, but there are people out there who are saying that boosted pre-orders because people just love Rob Liefeld. He has that fan following. There are those people out there who, because they grew up with his art, with back in the day with Youngblood and his work on certain Deadpool. He was one of the creators of Deadpool. Sure, X-Force and all that stuff, fine. But for me, yeah, I will happily buy every other cover except for that Rob Liefeld cover. It looks bad. It just looks bad to me. But
Uh,
I'm not there for it.
I think it's been kind of refreshing to see the second life a lot of these classic television shows or even comic books or cartoons has been getting in this medium of comic books. Like I even think about what they've done over in DC with like Batman 89 and Superman, what is it, 76, 77,
78.
78.
Yep.
And just continuing. like we talk about it being nostalgia bait, but people did want to see continuations of those stories. They missed those universes. In a world now where we could sit in a universe for 10 years, like the MCU, and just churn out story after story, it really has people looking back at some of the shorter uh things that we do love, things like you were just talking about Thundercats. Imagine if they had that much time to tell, lore and story and all that. And I think it's going to be really cool to see them uh, put their footprint or paw print, I guess, on
Yeah, yeah.
on the comic book industry.
Yeah, and I really believe it's going to be good because, like I said, the stuff that Dynamite has been doing has just been great. I as like I'm collecting Gargoyles every month, including already like two or three of the spin-off series they're already doing, and they're
Okay.
great. And they're great. And people who I know are collecting Darkwing Duck, along with the Disney series that Dynamite's doing, and I mean even other publishers like Image who are pumping out Transformers and GI Joe, Cobra Commander, Duke, Void Rivals. Those books are pure nostalgia bait, but everybody's loving it because of it pays it the correct tribute to those action animated series we loved back in the day, but also
Yeah.
just fleshing out these characters that to us now as an older audience who need something deeper than just hearing sight beyond sight and Jaga, give me the strength. I really
Right.
believe now we're going to be able to read characters that, wow, these characters sound more mature. They're going to speak to us on this adult level now, and I believe it's going to be the thing you need to buy. Even if you weren't a Thundercats fan, pick up issue number one. There's going to be plenty of them out there. Pick it up, give it a chance. I think you're going to be very happy with the decision.
I dig that. I dig that. And yeah, it's cool to see our franchises grow up with us. You don't want to do a revival, or and bring these things back if you don't necessarily have a plan for them. I find that that has happened a lot with one of my favorite superheroes, Jason Todd, the Red Hood. A person who got brought in, kind of had a really really cool story, but a story that doesn't really lend too much story afterwards. And he's kind of just been trying to find his way in the DC universe. Nightwing has Bloodhaven. I believe even Batgirl has her own domain where she, I can't remember off the top of my head, I can't remember right now where she does her stuff at. But the day before Valentine's Day, they're dropping my first pick, Red Hood, The Hill. It's number one. It'll be dropping on February 13th. It's written by Sean Martinborough, with art by Sanford Green and the cover by Sanford Green. The synopsis goes as follows. Welcome to the Hill, formerly one of the Gotham's most dangerous suburbs, a place that requires its residents to band together and keep themselves safe when the police and sometimes even Batman wouldn't. Now, as the Hill finds itself gentrifying, old habits die hard as a vigilante known as Strike works with her team to keep the town safe, but she's not alone. Jason Todd, one of the Hill's newest residents, is more than happy to don the visage of Red Hood to help Strike keep his new home safe. But a new villain is emerging from the shadows. Will Red Hood, Strike, and the Hill's small militia of vigilantes be able to keep their home safe? Check out Red Hood's return to find out. So I always love this trope of like the suicide slums. Like it's just so bad, not even Superman comes through. Like there's always all these towns, these little holes in the wall. The Jamaica Queens of Gotham.
Hey,
And
hey,
now
hey, 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 hey! I hang out in Jamaica, Queens. All right, come
I'm
on, it ain't
glad you
that bad.
survived, bro. I'm glad you survived. I'm glad you survived. But yeah, this in a world where I find myself quite often looking for the deeper, more conceptual comics. This is my Fast and the Furious. This is my popcorn flick character, Jason Todd. He doesn't necessarily have to make a lot of sense. His stories don't necessarily have to be groundbreaking or change a bunch of stuff. I just really want to sink my teeth into something really good with the character, and at least they're giving him his own territory to mess with. Usually, because he's such a problematic character, he's stuck in time or he's on another planet, because he can't be doing what he's doing while Batman is there. Still doing his job, and Nightwing is still doing his job, and vice versa. So, giving him this own little, cutting out a little piece of DC for him, I really want to see what this looks like. And yeah, so I'm excited for Red Hood, The Hill. Hopefully he's not over the
Nice.
hill.
No, I'm the Marvel zombie of the pair. But that's why I think we make a good team. I'm the Marvel zombie. You're the DC fanboy. I do dip into the DC stuff, but characters like the Red Hood, I'm sorry. The way the Red Hood, Jason Todd came back to us was when, what was it, Superboy Prime
Yeah,
punched the walls of reality and the
yeah.
ghost, the beaten up Joker destroyed by the crate with a crowbar and bomb character's spirit
I
came
never
back
did.
into
Yeah,
the universe.
I never did think about that. I guess it's because how Batman held him and he was still in one piece after all that.
It's crazy. I still love the fact that the reason why that character was killed was because the fans were like, yeah, we don't like him. Get rid. They
Yeah.
voted for that kid's death. How hated a character must you be where you're a child, you're Robin, you're Batman's ward, and fans are calling and going, yeah, kill him. give
And
give us another one.
he's definitely found new merch, new life in merch and, in video game form. Like he's in Gotham Knights, he's in Arkham Knight, he's in Injustice. So they don't want to drop the character, but they haven't given him anything to sink his teeth into. And it's kind of hard because of how big the Bat family is. The stories kind of run, kind of samey. So I hope because he doesn't really mind killing that this will be a little bit more different.
Well, yeah, he's definitely found an audience because even though, like you said, because even for me, as much as I'm into the comic books, I don't know much about what this character's doing. I got a taste of it back with what was it? Not necessarily with Rebirth, and then what was what were those books that we covered
Oh,
that
Future
just did
State.
Future State? They did a lot with him in Future State, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
they really want to take this character somewhere, but where do they want to take him? Like you said, they had him like teaming up with Catwoman at one point. They had him, being that
He was a
streets level
cop in Future
character.
State, right?
Yeah, he was like a yeah, yeah. He kind of worked for the police
Magistrate.
force of the magistrate, right? They're doing tons with him. He has that edginess that people like. He's kind of Deadpool. He's kind of Luke Cage,
Little
that
Frank Castle.
badass
There's little Frank
little
Castle
Frank
there. Yeah.
Castle. Right. He's even in what was it, Batman Three Jokers. I mean, he kills one of the Jokers because he's
Yeah, he
like,
does.
yeah, you know what I mean. So I understand why people like this because this is more of that character that you can understand. Like, all right, this is someone trained by Batman who's pretty much just as badass as Batman, but he's willing to cross that line. So I get why people want to read this character. I just had he stayed dead, I would have never been that person. Like, you know who I'm missing? You know who I'm missing? Jason
Yeah.
Todd.
No,
No, just leave
I
him
totally get it.
Like Uncle Ben, leave him dead. But they keep trying to do stuff with him, and just from that synopsis you read, it sounds interesting. So I look forward to hearing about it when you do read it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
What you got up
but
next for us?
as far as my second pick, speaking of how some things are just nostalgia bait, when I read the synopsis for this, I was like, you know what? I want to read this because who didn't? I dare someone chime in and say they didn't have a crush on Amy Jo Johnson. If you grew up in the Mighty Morphin era time period, that perfect time period where if you were a teenage boy and you were watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, even on the sneak tip like I was, because I was like that, I think I was like 15, 16 when it came out. I was like, I'm too grown for this. But
Right.
it had that right taste of, well, there's nothing else on. It's kind of entertaining. It reminded me a bit of Voltron, and it had this really cute girl on it named Amy Jo Johnson that I'm like, okay, I can get behind this.
There
So my
wasn't many
second pick,
shows. Not to cut you off, I just want to say real quick. There also wasn't many shows when I was growing up that had live action karate every episode.
nope,
Every single episode, live
every
action karate.
single episode.
Now, whether you thought the stunts were high value or not is a whole nother is a whole nother thing.
Look,
But it was a cool novelty to get that in live action and see these, kicks and flips and
exactly. I mean, remember this came out at a time. I'm pretty sure this predated Cartoon Network, and even the little bit of Nickelodeon that was around at the time wasn't doing anything like this. It was doing or Eat My Shorts or
yeah.
whatever, stuff like that. Like it wasn't doing high action. A bunch of kids transforming into superpowered people, kicking the crap out of aliens, and then summoning giant robots to form a Voltron robot. They just weren't doing this. So here I was watching the show, the last couple years, Boom has been producing the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comic books, and they have really been well reviewed, well received, to the point where I believe the main series is like up to 150 issues. And I've heard great things.
Amazing.
I haven't read any of it. I've wanted to dip into it, especially when I heard about with the origin of Lord Zed and how they tied that into a Zordon, and that apparently Lord Zed, I think, was a Power Ranger at one point. All these
Okay.
things sounded fascinating that I haven't gotten into. And then when I saw this preview that talks about, in an alternate universe, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers finally defeated Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed, but at terrible cost. In the wake of the tragedy, the team went their separate ways. So it's kind of like this alternate universe future, Kingdom Come esque, it sounds to me, where now they're bringing in Amy Jo Johnson to be a writer on this comic book with Matt Hodson, someone who wrote and I believe directed some episodes of Titans on for
Okay.
DC. With a great artist of Nico Leon, he's done some great Marvel work. This book comes out February 7th. It looks gorgeous. The art looks amazing. The preview pages where it shows like Nico Leon, the way he draws these grown-up versions of Jason and Billy
Yeah. I think I saw
what was
some
the
of the
black
previews.
and
Tommy,
Zach and
Jason,
Zach
Zach.
and yeah, Zach. So and it seems like spoilers, but it seems like in this future, and it's kind of fitting because I think this is Amy's also way of paying tribute to these actors that Tommy and Trini are dead in this future, kind of
Right.
paying homage to just tribute to those actors who are no longer with us. And so it's seeing them do this series, I'm ecstatic to see it because these are my Power Rangers. I never got into Power Rangers past the original actors. That's kind of like where I said, okay, I'm
Yeah.
done. But now seeing this gives me a reason to not only read this series but read other stuff that's come out because they've built this whole Power Rangers universe. Because not only is this coming out that month, but the other books are also coming out as well as some trade paperbacks. There's tons. So I was like, you know what? Boom, I know for a fact has been doing its thing, especially with Power Rangers. This is definitely calling. And who knows, maybe Amy Jo will appreciate the fact that we're talking about her and she'll send us an email and see what happens.
A signed 8 by 10.
Yeah,
Uh,
something.
I, I am a huge, huge Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan. I go out with my communicator quite often. My communicator watch everyone. Come on, bro. Like it's a Pavlovian response to me at this point. So I'm always with that. I think it's ironic because Power Rangers, or I think it's called Zayu Ranger, or even Super Sentai, the actual concept that they
Hmm.
took from Japan, it's kind of an anthology series. Every season that they do something different, and now we've gotten to that point in American Power Rangers where every season is named something different with a new team. But they made a choice whether it was like money based or laziness or whatever you want to call it. They made a choice to stick with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers team for the most part for several years, which gives the fan base more of a connection to that team than any other team that we just spent a year on or one season on, you know? And even though they found ways to connect other teams to other characters and we've had reunions and stuff, people are always going to remember that first Mighty Morphin team because of how long that they were together, especially characters like Tommy Oliver, played by the
The late
recently
great
passed
Jason David Frank. Yep.
Jason David Frank. He was a mainstay. So if you were a fan of his, you have that strong connection. That's why people have such a strong connection with that character. So going back to that team, I think is very fitting. And you got to imagine Amy Jo as a creative. This is a woman I believe who's written her own movies. She's a musician as well. I believe that she will do her best to give a fitting tribute to those that she lost. And this is going to be a way I could see not only the nostalgia bait that we were talking about from before in a good way, but this is going to be cathartic for Rangers fans
Hmm.
to and her herself I could see. And I salute her for giving us a way to, just like her, remember, mourn, but also pay tribute to something that was real life people who did had such a great influence on our childhoods.
Definitely. So that's why I'll be picking it up, guys. It's a 4 issue limited series. So even if you yourself don't want to be super invested in the Power Rangers, but you still, like me, want to just take an interest in it, it's 4 issues. Pick up the first issue, you might really like it. Then you only got to buy 3 more, and you got yourself
Yeah,
a great miniseries. So what
I
do you
dig
got?
it.
What do you got next for us, Don?
So the thing I have next, I love these kind of stories. I love when DC or Marvel put together a bunch of artists and writers for a concept, and sometimes it's a tribute to an anniversary of a character, right? So it'll be like Detective Comics 1000, and so they'll bring all the great writers who've ever written for Detective Comics and all the great artists, and they'll all tell a very small story. I like those kind of books because it's such a different flavors of what, especially when you're doing with a character, what a Batman or a Superman or a Wonder Woman could be under so many different creative teams. So my next pick on coming out on February 6th, 2024 is How to Lose a Guy Gardner in 10 Days. It's a Valentine's Day. It's a Valentine's Day
Oh,
anthology series. Um, it has writers Marguerite Sauvage, I hope I'm saying that right, Dennis Hopeless, Aaron Walke, Brendan Hay, George Mann, Danny Lore, Alex Gaylor, a bunch of others, artists like Ivan Sharon, M.L. Sapino, Sinapo, sorry, Baltimore Rivas, Ted Brandt, and Rose Stein, Leonardo Rodriguez, and others. And the synopsis says romance is rarely a simple affair. Love is almost always followed by some sort of conflict. Whether you're Plastic Man twisting yourself into knots trying to please someone, or the Flash running back in time to make a catastrophic 51st dates perfect, or even a lone robot who just can't seem to find love unless it's mail from a computer system like Red Tornado. Love actually is a pain in the 27 dresses. So, in all good tradition of these dating conundrums, a la rom coms of the 90s and the OOs, we are proud to the aughts. We are proud to
yeah, the
present
aughts,
eight
right?
new stories about love and trying to find love in this zany world. I think DC has great relationships as well because their characters have been around forever.
Yeah.
I think of characters like Black Canary and Green Arrow. Obviously, Superman and Lois Lane, Steve Trevor, Wonder Woman. The list goes on, but I want to
Mhm.
see them into some quirky love stuff in this. And again, in a world where a lot of this other stuff might be earth shattering, I want to have fun with a story like this. And these are always great. I also like covering them when we can because I like to rank which stories I like the best. But yeah,
No,
check it out. How to Lose a Guy Gardner.
How to Lose a Guy Gardner. I always dig anthology books because the barrier of entry is minimal.
Yeah,
You get a bunch of different stories for usually, 7, 8, 9, or even $10, but you're gonna get like 60 something pages or more of stories, quick little story, little tidbits. But you're also getting a taste of many different creators. Some you may not have heard of, so you may want to get a taste for someone, or someone doing a character that they normally don't do. That this is the only way to get it. Like, oh, this artist, drawing these characters who they've never done and probably never will outside of like a weird book like this. So
yeah,
anthology books are great because it's minimal barrier of entry. It's usually a one shot. You enjoy it, you laugh, and then we can. Hey man, did you like that 3 page story about Guy Gardner? Or it was
right.
cool to see, a story where Grifter is trying to mac on Batgirl for some reason because he's running through Gotham real quick and he runs into Batgirl. So in a situation like that, like that's a fun. Those are like fun little stories you can get. So yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it. Let me know how you like it.
I
You
think the
know,
last Valentine's book I read from DC had like a date between Perry White and Amanda Waller.
there you go.
Like
There,
just stuff like that. You're like, oh wow, I didn't even think about that. That'd be pretty
there you
interesting.
go.
They're both up in age, might need to settle down. You know,
Wait,
what are you
was
checking
there any?
out?
I'm sorry, just real quick though. Was there a Poison Ivy Harley Quinn story in there for
They,
everybody?
they haven't said it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
They may
They
have done that one. They may have done that last year, so they probably won't do it again this year. But
that was
it's
the
those
older
like
of the generations. Yeah, basically
yeah.
grew old together, and I think they became a plant. She like at the end
See,
of it, Hardy's like, yeah, I want to be a plant or whatever with you, and we'll just be a plant forever or something. Can't remember
forever.
exactly, but it was sweet. It was sweet stuff.
Very sweet. Anyway, good stuff. My third pick is my Marvel Zombie fandom is coming out. Guys, Avengers Twilight issue number 3. I really wanted to highlight this on our last show, but it didn't quite make it into my top 5. But now
Okay.
that issue number 1 has come out and I've read it, the series is great. It's Chip Zdarsky. I'm pretty. If you're a comic book fan right now, you should know who Chip Zdarsky is. The guy right now is doing a fantastic Batman run. He has
Hmm.
done amazing runs on Daredevil, as well as many other books. He's done some side stories for Spider-Man. The guy's been hitting it out of the park, as well as doing lots of fun indie books like New Burn and Public Domain. So now he's doing an Avengers book that's kind of Kingdom Come-esque, where it takes place way in the future. A lot of these heroes are either old and retired, or have passed on even. I believe issue number 1, it starts with Spider-Man dying. Spoiler alert, issue number 1 is on shelves right now. I really want to highlight the next few issues now, because now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the story where spoilers, where I'm just talking about issue number 1. This happens immediately. The reason why Captain America, who now is a retired hero, doesn't really want to do anything, he's so old, is now in this future, they're trying to say that the Red Skull, history is wrong about the Red Skull, that he's
Oh
not a bad
no.
guy.
Wow.
Yes. And that, you want to talk about triggering.
Yeah, yeah,
Cap is
yeah.
like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, you are not rewriting this part of history.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not reading
yeah.
my America's history, not reading my history. No, it's just unthinkable. So now he's on this quest to basically show, no, this is not the way it is. And along the way of him unearthing this, it just shows you just this gloomy Blade Runner-esque future that's just so dull and beautifully drawn. This murky drawings of Daniel Acuna, who he himself has a
Yeah,
wonderful
yeah, yeah.
portfolio
I
of
recognize
books.
that name.
I mean, just check out the previews, some of the art that he's doing. It looks great. Seeing old man Cap come out to just be like, "Look, I'm coming back. I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm gonna break some people out of jail to join my new team, because before we're on the wrong side of history, we gotta fix everything and let everybody know the Red Skull is not a hero. He's not this pitied person that the media depicted him as this monster. No, he is a monster, and we're gonna make sure that stays that way. So I would highly recommend getting into Avengers Twilight. The Alex Ross covers, the interior art, and of course Chip
Yeah.
Zdarsky. Can't go wrong.
Been really digging the like glitch effect that they've been putting on some of that artwork that's there, like the Avengers Twilight promotional material.
Mhm.
Almost feels like an image being distorted. And if you're talking about Red Skull's image, and them kind of distorting
Exactly.
it in that fashion. Chip Zdarsky, I first met through Sex Criminals with Matt Fraction, a tremendous
There you go.
series that presented itself on the face as an extremely silly premise, but delves into some very deep adult themes, asks adult questions, and so I can't help but think that this Avengers run is meant to kind of speak to or give commentary to this new age of alternate truths, and this idea now that I'm pretty sure you can find a TikTok where somebody's saying absolutely or some of those evil figures in history, well, they weren't that bad if you really think
Right.
about it. There's people so far removed from some of the atrocities created by some of these people, that then they're so unaffected that it's easy for them to be like, ah, come on, what did Hitler really do? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are you talking about? And I think, yeah, now, uh, dealing with that with our heroes and seeing how somebody like Cap, who we've seen what happens when he gets disaffected from the system. We see what happens when the stars literally fall from his star spangled eyes. It's usually not good, because we are he's the one who believes in America the most. So I want to see him not give up, because that means we got
Exactly.
to give up. And I want to see how he's able to turn this, because it might be the key for us understanding how to still be able. You don't want to live in the past when it comes to this country, but you still want to remember the lessons that we've had to learn the hard way about certain people, certain rhetoric, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it sounds pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it. And guys, it's a mini series. Give it a chance. First issue, like I said, is on shelves right now. Pick it up. The art, Chip Zdarsky, Alex Ross covers. Hop on. What do you got? What do you got for us, Don?
So I am, it's February. February's Black History Month. What better book to check out in Black History Month than Ultimate Black Panther #1? I want to check out. It's written by Brian Hill. Stefano Caselli is doing the artwork and the cover. The new Ultimate Black Panther. In the wake of Ultimate Invasion, Khonshu and Ra, the force known together as Moon Knight, are seeking to expand their brutal control of the continent of Africa. In response, the lone bulwark against them, the isolated nations of Wakanda will send forth its champion, its king, the Black Panther. From creative minds Brian Hill, who wrote for Blade and Killmonger, and we actually covered Killmonger on this podcast, and Stefano Caselli, who does artwork for X-Men Red and Avengers, comes a bold new take on the world of Black Panther and Wakanda. We have seen recently this resurgence. Obviously, the movie did wonders for the character, and then writers like Ta-Nehisi Coates getting on, or Ta-Nehisi Coates getting on, and kind of reinventing the character in that way. You can tell that there are people who want to take on this character, but kind of make changes to it. And when you're dealing with a character that's stuck in status quo, it's very hard to do so. So I'm very excited to see what you could do in this Ultimate Universe, because I've seen some of the crazy creations, changes, origin story stuff that has made some of some people's favorite versions of the characters are their ultimate versions because of the changes that have been made. And the idea that Moon Knight is trying to conquer Wakanda, like that's kind of cool. They're literally right there. If he were to find out about it, why wouldn't he's a god of the moon? Like I don't know if you can hide him holograms from him in a situation like that. I like how the suit looks. I think the suit looks pretty cool. And I really am trying to dip my toe into this Ultimate Universe. People seem to be very, very excited about it, and people are raving about Ultimate Spider-Man #1, which you were ahead of the game, and recommended that to our viewers last time. So, following your lead, I will be recommending Ultimate Black Panther #1. Are you stoked for it?
Oh yes, just like you said, I've been hyping up the new Ultimate Universe from the moment they announced. All they had to say was Ultimate Universe, Jonathan Hickman, and I was like, you got me, you got me. And once they announced the books, which were Ultimate Spider-Man, Black Panther, Ultimates, and Ultimate X-Men, I'm there for all those books. And then and just to keep feeding my excitement, they the creative teams on these books, Brian Hill and Stefano Caselli. Stefano Caselli has done amazing work on X-Men Red. Almost every issue, it has at least 2 or 3 splash pages that are just delicious. The costume designs that he's done, whether it's Magneto, the stuff he's done with Storm, even a few pages of Doctor Doom, amazing. So seeing what he's gonna do with Black Panther, with Brian Hill, who he himself has proven himself on a number of books leading into this, it's to me it's going to be good. The entire Ultimate Universe right now is lining up that it's going to be amazing. Spider-Man #1 is on shelves right now. It is one of the hottest books out there. I think #1, if you can't get it in
Resale is
stores.
crazy, bro. Resale
Oh,
is crazy right now.
yeah, I think
Bonkers.
it's going for about $40 on eBay because it's not only a beautiful book, it's well written. It's Jonathan Hickman, and if he and working with the quality of creators that he's working with, and being able to probably also helping them along, he's not going to let Brian Hill produce something poor, and Brian Hill's not going to want to. It's when you're doing this kind of universe, everyone's going to
Yeah.
want to one up each other. So Brian's looking at Jonathan like, "All right, I got you, I got you."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna do my thing over here, and everybody's feeding off one another, so that this universe is where it's coming together, and I'm just dripping thinking about what Peach Momoko is going to be doing with Ultimate X-Men. So
Beautiful
bring it,
stuff.
bring it, bring it, bring it on. I can't wait for it. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for hopping on the wagon. Get more people hopping on so that the more people who are into it, the more we have to discuss.
It's crazy how you don't necessarily need quality control when you have passion, isn't it? When people are passionate, you don't have to check over their shoulder to make sure they're doing the right thing. They care so much about the product, and they care so much about what they're putting out, that they do their own quality control. They make sure
Damn
that
right.
it's legitimate. And you I'm a big proponent of leading by example. And so for Hickman to lead this universe, and like, do you want to let that guy down? Like, like that's
Nope.
not the guy that you want to fall short of.
That's right.
He's he's become a kingmaker of sorts. So it'd be really really cool to see how Brian Hill follows up this Ultimate Spider-Man stuff.
Damn right. Speaking of Brian Hill, what I got for my next pick is Blade number 8, written by
Ooh,
Brian Hill
right.
and drawn by Elena Casagrande. I just recently have hopped on the Blade wagon because I just kept hearing great reviews about what he's doing in his book. And I'm excited because one of the things that's coming up is an Avengers-led event and where it's going to be Avengers against vampires with Blade in the middle of it. Blade recently joined the Avengers during the Jason Aaron run, but he
Hmm.
never really had a lot to do. Every now and again, they kind of would give him something to do. Vampires during that time were given they were given Chernobyl because they could survive
Ah,
in the radioactive state of Chernobyl. So they have slowly been building this vampire nation within those borders. But in the meantime, the way Brian has reintroduced Blade to everybody is, of course, he's the badass vampire slaughtering, one-liner guy straight out of the movies. He's embraced that Blade, but the story that's set up that he's done so far is Blade is immediately set up to allow this demon to survive. He immediately kills the one person who has been training his entire life to kill this demon with this one specific weapon. So Blade, someone is able to trick him into killing this person, thinking he's saving this girl who's masking herself as a demon, or a girl who's actually a demon. So he kills this person, and the demon's just like, man, thank you. You know, I
oh
I
no.
could I could I couldn't I couldn't kill this person. He's been training his entire life to kill me with this special sword, this, sword of Thundera kind of sword. So she gets her hands on it, and then she goes about her way. And in the meantime, Blade then gets captured by that person's tribe, who's like, man, what the hell were you thinking? How you're Blade? You're not supposed to get so easily duped into
Right.
this. How are you going to fix this now? And Blade, after getting captured by this tribe, is like, you know what? I will fix this with the help of somebody else in the tribe. So now they're hunting down this demon that's supposed to like be the ender of days, and he's learning new powers. He's going to different people from help. He's getting help from Dracula. He's getting help from the Hulk. He's learning these some new powers. It's a lot of fun, and what it's building towards when it ties into this this Avengers crossover, I'm really excited for it to see Blade being the Blade that we know. Like most people know Blade from the movies. A lot of
Hmm.
people, if you talk about Blade, they might know his origin. They might know that how he originally started. They might know that, yeah, he helped Ghost Rider here and there. He was part of the Night Stalkers and the Midnight Suns, but he never really had a solid book to speak of and something to do. I think the most interesting did something that even the biggest Blade fans will remember was when they gave him a stake for a hand. At one point,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
you've seen that. It was so
Must have been
bad.
a big. Was that before or after Assassin's Creed? When was that? When did
It was before Assassin's Creed, but it was like right around. I think they saw, they were like, what made
Yeah, right.
Aquaman suddenly badass? Oh, they gave him a hook for a hand. Well, let's give Blade a stake for a
A
hand. Like
steak for that.
it was it
Raising
was
the
something that was
stakes.
and what I,
Please.
it was something that was so bad that they didn't I don't I from what I know, they didn't even explain the retcon. Like he just straight up showed up with two hands and everyone was just like, "Yep, that's fine."
Frankencastle all over again.
Well,
All
no,
right.
no, they explained Frankencastle. They explained Frankencastle. I loved Frankencastle, okay? I loved Frankencastle. It was so stupid. It was fun. He gets sliced to pieces. Monsters use crazy monster magic to bring him back as Frankenstein, and then he gets the bloodstone and it heals him and it turns him back to Frank Castle. It was great. It was great. Blade, literally one issue, he's got a stake for a hand. A couple issues later, it's like, yeah, it grew back. It grew back, guys. I'm fine. No
Do
explanation.
you do you think it that's why it's been so difficult to sort of nail a movie story? We've been hearing that they've been having trouble with scripts for Blade. Is it because he doesn't have a quintessential story? He doesn't have his, All-Star Superman or Batman Year One sort of, I don't mean to say DC titles is the first ones that came up to my head, but like, yeah. Do you think Blade's just missing that sort of kind of historic run that people can get an entry point to?
Definitely. I can totally see that happening where people are looking for stuff to write about him. And we've already had three movies that very much explored most of the Blade lore. And I love Blade 1, love Blade 2. I don't know very many people that really remember Blade 3 well, because even within those stories, they were kind of the well ran dry. And that
Yeah.
along with it seemed like Wesley Snipes lost his mind in that third part, from what I've heard of the back behind the scenes stuff. So now I can imagine the writers are looking at it like, well, we don't want to just do Blade 1 and 2 again. We definitely don't want to Blade 3. What good stuff is out there? Oh, well, what do we have to draw from? So I could see that, and I'm hoping that this series that they're doing right now inspires whatever creative differences they're having to go away, because this series, even just from the first issue that I've read, has so much going for it that I'm like, here it is. You can still do just action vampires. Give us vampires in a club, with blood dripping from the sprinklers.
Blood
we
Rave,
will
baby.
blood raves. We'll take it. We'll take it again. We'll take it again because I think that's what people want to see anyway. So give it to us. And I can never say his name right. Marshala
Mahershala.
Ali. Mahershala Ali. Come on. Come on. Let him be the star. Don't please. I hope these rumors are completely false that they're trying to put him as a supporting actor to other Blade people. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I did hear about that. So one of the rumors I heard about Blade in its initial production in the late '90s was, I think, a studio exec had questioned whether or not the character had to be black. So at one point, there was a time where they were considering having a white Blade in the comic. I mean, I'm sorry,
Leonardo DiCaprio is Blade.
right, in the film, and I that character is such a quintessential African American, or I believe actually English African American, right? He's like from England, I think the character is
Mhm.
initially. Um, but he's such a quintessential black character that I couldn't even think about that. In the same sense, we've seen certain characters get sort of race swapped across the board, and people don't get too happy about it. My next pick is one of the most popular rising stars in black superheroes. I'm going with Spider Punk #1.
Oh,
It's Javi Brown. Javi Brown's been getting some love lately. I'm really, really happy with it
lots,
because in most cases, like I
lots.
said, people are usually really not too happy when a certain races take over certain monikers. But I think Hobie is just so unique, and the art style and his presentation is so cool. I like the character and his presentation from the original Spider-Verse story. I read that and never thought I would ever see him in any other kind of medium. He was just that, you know, um, quintessential sort of variant of Spider-Man. Um, and now he's getting his own comic run. So it's going to be written by Cody Ziegler, with art by Justin Mason, covered by Takashi Ozaki. Oh, sorry, Okazaki. And in a world without Norman Osborn, Spider-Punk reigns. This ain't no victory lap, though, as Hobie Brown and his team try to rebuild society. Justin Hammer and Dr. Otto Octavius have other plans, like introducing the world to spider-slaying sentinels. Cody Ziegler, who wrote for Miles Morales Spider-Man, and Justin Mason, who wrote for Spider-Man 2099 Dark Genesis, reunite to bring the Brooklyn boy back with the whole crew you know and love. Grab your boots, your instruments, your amps, and let's go. So yeah, man, I think the Spider-Man character is a bit of a punk. Like, he's meant to be a bit of a punk. So you just add like this rock aesthetic to it and play around with the artwork in there. I like those like the Edge of Spider-Verse mini stories that they were telling with
Mhm.
Spider-Gwen. It made me actually go and read her book for a bit. And so I just want to check this out. I think this can skate by on purely the rule of cool. And Spider-Man is what has one of those universes that is so full of colorful characters that any slight tweak can really just make them more interesting. Like the whole in Gwen's universe, Matt Murdock is the Kingpin. He's like this evil lawyer, who's aped the system, and he is handicapped, but he's still, he's still, the evilest person in the town. And Punisher is just like a red line cop. He's actually
Hmm.
working for the police force, and he's just a hardcore policeman. So I remember in Spider Punk, when he debuted in Spider Verse, like the whole thing was like all the cops were Venom, like all the cops had like symbiotes in his universe, and so he just like plugged up a bunch of amps and then did like a guitar riff to, just again, really cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Spider-Man should be having fun. It's gonna be interesting how many people read alternate Spider-Man stuff just because the mainline one never seems to be having fun.
Tell me about it. No, and I'm happy you picked this book. This is Spider-Punk is someone that has just, he was popular before Spider Across the Spider-Verse, and ever since his appearance in Across the Spider-Verse, it seems more people are into him. This is actually his second miniseries that he's gotten. The first
Oh wow.
one, the first one I'm pretty sure had the same creative team. Cody Ziegler has had a lot of experience writing Spider characters. He had a recent Spider-Man run, a run on Miles Morales, and he's done other Spider adjacent stories. So here he is again tackling Hobie Brown, this punk version of Spider-Man, this English Johnny Rotten-esque, Rage Against the Machine, Down with the Man kind of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So it's a different, you've experienced it. We've all experienced. If you haven't seen Across the Spider-Verse, get on it now,
Yes, please.
because he's just he like he, I don't should I spoil it? Just the way he just shuts down the
Yeah.
the spider center where he's just like, yeah, you
Society.
know
Yeah.
what? I'm done being a part of this machine. I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's cool to the point where it's perfectly cool. It's Fonz level cool. Like, yeah, of course you want to follow this guy because he's just he redefines it and he just embraces it.
Yeah.
Even the way they redesigned him in Across the Spider-Verse, because originally when he appeared, he had the classic, like 70s kind of afro, a little bit of a beard, maybe a couple piercings. And then the way they presented him in Across the Spider-Verse, having that absolutely, just crazy hairstyle that you look at like, how did he even fit that in his mask?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's sitting there just rocking out all the time, and he's
He's
got
got like
all
the
these
eye
stickers.
jewelry. He's got the lip ring. He's
Every
just cool.
all
He's chilling. I think he got a
he's like,
choker.
yeah, I mean, like, just for some of his lines, I've had to rewatch the movie because some of the stuff he says is so slick and so just
Yeah.
like that English cool. They like, wait, what did he say? What did he just?
Yeah.
I gotta rewind it. I gotta hear that again. So yeah, no, I definitely dig this book. The art style looks like it's gonna be great. The first miniseries did well enough to warrant another one, and here we are exploring these differences in this universe with Justin Hammer and Otto Octavius. What's this punk take on Otto Octavius now? Yeah, no, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I'll give it a shot myself.
Awesome. Awesome.
My last pick, I'm gonna delve into your universe because there are certain things in the DC universe. DC has done some things recently that have made me want to read it, and I've been reading books like Batman Offworld by Jason Aaron because it says
Okay.
Jason Aaron and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. It's a miniseries. He's also writing a run on Action Comics where he's doing a Bizarro story. The first issue is on shelves right now, and it's this great, like, Jason Aaron just understands Superman
I believe
so
you. I
well.
think that's one of your recommendations for last
That
month,
was
right?
that was one of
Yeah.
my recommendations from last month. It's on shelves. Give it a shot. And this month, the creator of Super Sons, Peter J. Tomasi, is now taking on the Sinister Sons.
Dun dun
The cup,
dun.
yeah, yeah. It's the same creative team that worked on Super Sons with Peter Jason Masi and David LaFuente. They killed it on Super Sons. They made Super Sons a must read. I mean, seeing Jonathan Kent and Damian Wayne be these teenage, or not even teenage, like preteen heroes teaming up to solve relatively small adventures that would lead into these. What? How is this connected to all these bigger schemes? Stories. DC has since aged up Jonathan. So Jonathan's like a grown man now, while Damian is still a kid. So it seems like the adventures of Super Sons are done. But now they're doing Sinister Sons, where the son of Sinestro and the son of Zod, the big Superman villain, their sons are now coming together to basically prove to their parents that we're just as evil as you. So give us a chance. Give us a chance, dads. We can dominate entire galaxies. We can make everybody be fearful of us, and we can conquer planets. So give us a chance. And I really hope that this series embraces the villainy of it all. Give us a good villain book because we haven't really had that recently. The I think there was a Joker book that kind of went here and there, but it wasn't
Yeah,
even really a Joker book. It was a Joker adjacent. It was a lot of, well, where is the Joker kind of thing. And besides that, we haven't had a lot of villain books. So I really hope that this is that villain book, but with that with the comedic twist of it's kids. It's these two kids that just want to prove themselves to be the villains that their parents are, and I'm gonna jump along for the ride. I'm gonna give it a shot because why not? It's a cool sounding DC book. Tomasi has done lots of good work, so I'll give it a shot. I want to give this a chance. What about you? I know you love Super Sons, so how do you
so
feel about
yeah,
that?
so I was a little on the fence when I found out that Sinestro's son is named Sin Sun. Sin Sun. But I as you would describe it, I can kind of see it being a story almost like, and I don't think anyone has hard hatred for this, but like the Despicable Me kind of series, where you are kind of laughing alongside these evil bumbling, because they're not, if they have doubters, that means they don't 100% know what they're doing. And I doubt that this book is going to have a level of like ruthlessness. I don't think they're going to be
No,
beheading people or stuff
no.
like that. So it was going to be very interesting to watch children what their idea of evil is, and what their idea of trying to get out of their parent shadow is going to be. I mean, their fathers are some of the two most ruthless DC villains around. So it's just going to be funny to kind of see how they come up short, and whether or not they remain villains at the end of it, because I'll be interested in seeing how all of this affects them, right? Do they like this
Hmm.
job, or do they have to follow in their dad's footsteps? All that kind of stuff. I can see as being really interesting. And I think Sin Sun has like a like brass knuckle ring or something like that. I gotta look it up,
Yeah,
but
he's
I
got he's
remember
got
seeing
he's
like
no
a
he's
big.
got he's got two giant yellow rings. Like they might as well be brass knuckle. They're very Radio Raheem and
Yeah,
love and
yeah, yeah,
hate.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
The character designs they look so out of like these kids just want to come across as so tough, but you look at them, you're like you're kids. Sure, you got power rings. Sure, you're the son of one of the most devious Kryptonians, and you probably got all Superman's powers. Well, you're just such a cute little kid. Like, what are you gonna really end up doing? So I want to see what they do with it.
No, yeah, I could totally dig it. And again, Tomasi, I think is one of the most wholesome writers. And I read some of
Mhm.
his Batman Robin stuff. He really got to the heart of those characters. So that's what I'm saying. I think this is gonna upfront present itself as like a fun old romp, but we're gonna, get some tender moments in there. Whether
Definitely.
it's their parents being like, "You guys are worth a damn," or whatever it is. Maybe they stop seeking their parents' approval. It'll be interesting to
Maybe.
see how they develop those characters. Um, so my last pick, I'm running through a lot of TV, a lot of prestige TV right now, and there's some good shows, bro. There's like when you think of like the Bear and stuff. Bear's absolutely been tremendous. Fargo this season was really, really, really good with John Hamm and Juno Temple. Ted Lasso's great. Um, and so after doing all that, I finally set myself on the whale, the Moby Dick of this prestige television currently, Succession. This is the show that everyone's been pointing to. It literally swept multiple awards this past year. It's continuing to win all of the awards. And if you're not familiar, without spoiling it, the story of that is about a very wealthy and powerful media family, a family that owns a bunch of channels, basically like the Murdochs with Fox. People actually believe it's based on that family, and it's about a father who is getting older in age but has to eventually relinquish this power, and all of his kids are terrible. They're all like brats and selfish, and as the rich kids of literally one of the most powerful men would be. And so there's a lot of deceit, there's a lot of sibling betrayal because everyone wants daddy's approval and everyone wants daddy's company because it comes with daddy's money. And seeing how the father plays the children against each other, seeing how he really doesn't want to relinquish any of this power outright. He still wants, to be the head honcho, and how, um, relinquishing that power, there's so much of his character wrapped up in him being the man that he has a problem kind of giving that up, especially even to his children that he doesn't trust. So I'm in the midst of this show, really, really digging it. And then I find out that Image Comics is doing a series called The Infernos. And this is the synopsis for The Infernos. Abraham Abe Morgenstern, the son of Satan, has 1 month to live. Before he dies, he must decide which of his three wayward children, volatile narcissist Nero, conflicted field operative Jackal, or troubled schoolgirl B, will inherit his shadowy empire. But will Abe ever be able to truly cede control of the apocalypse? Or does the Antichrist have something up his sleeve? This is Succession, but it's hell. This is basically the show I just described, but in hell. Talk about upping the stakes. While I love Succession, I haven't found an emotional stake in it because it's just a bunch of rich people arguing all the time. I like the show. I can tell that it's masterful, but I want to get into the characters, and I think that this series here could be really, really interesting in trying to ape that kind of story, but up the stakes with it being in hell. So yeah, I'm really rolling the dice here. This is a brand new series. This is a brand new comic and concept, the Infernos. The creators are Orion Parrott, who wrote Rogue Sun and Power Rangers, and WGA Award nominee Noah Gardner. And they're joined by artist John Pearson from Department of Truth and Blue and Green for an epic tale of power, family, legacy, and the end of the world. So yeah, if you're a big Succession fan, I feel like this you could just walk in and pick up this book.
Yeah, I have not touched Succession. It's one of those shows that's just eluded me. I've always heard great
Yeah,
things about it. Like you said, it gets all this acclaim and awards. And I did see this listed, but it just didn't pique my interest. But the way you describe it, and it's an image book, and is being written by someone who, look, like I was saying earlier about Power Rangers, he was one of the architects for the Power Rangers, the
yeah,
previous success. And that's like, now, in the way you said it, I was like, Ryan Parrott, why have I heard this name? There it is. He's one of the people that, if he was able to take the silly Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and turn it into this whole new universe that's getting all this attention, what can he do with something like this idea that, I mean, it speaks to us in every which way, right? I mean, who doesn't like hearing stories about, I hate to say it, about hell, right? I mean,
yeah,
there's the show Lucifer, even in the show like Sandman, dealing with evil characters. People enjoy these kinds of stories. So now the idea that the devil is looking to pass his legacy on, and in this way, this is definitely a book that I guarantee you is gonna be on a lot of people's radar. If not by issue number one, Image has a way of slowly pulling people in. So that I can totally see that by the time this book is finished with its first story arc, people are going to be like, "Hey, are you reading Infernals?" So yeah,
yeah.
yeah, let's be ahead of the ball on this one.
I also think that a lot of people have garnered or found themselves in some of these prestige television shows, or even when you think of some of the best comic runs, one of the things that carries the day a lot of the time is family dynamic. I think that's
Right.
something that we can all agree with, whether it's good or bad. We understand how intricate family dynamic can be, and it is the dynamic that changes so many people's lives that are in it. When I think of even like the bear, my favorite parts of the bear are the parts that deal with the family and why everybody is the way that they are. X-Men is the best when viewed as a family. Batman got better when he had a bit of a family, and I think that always going to that, but just kind of putting a different spin on it, a different coat of paint on it. Like I said, this is just a family that just happens to be in hell. The show I was watching is about a conglomerate owner who doesn't want to release power to his crazy kids, and guess what? Well, I think it's 4 kids, but 3 of them are the real ones really going for power. So it's like 3 kids in this book as well. So it's like, and it's only one girl, which is only one girl in the in succession as well. So
There it is.
it's very interesting. But yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I really do. I really do. I'm excited for it.
Ah, I can see that. I can see that. And no, I'll be right there with it. Maybe we'll end up covering it. I look forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
this is gonna be it for episode 2. I believe we just went through all of our picks this month. I'm gonna go ahead and try to
And
put links in the show notes for people can go ahead and pre-order some of these books. Um, Again, it is you go to your local comic book shop, support these writers, support these artists. We put a lot of money into the comic book media world, and not
mhm.
necessarily a lot into the actual comic book world. And this is the stuff that sets up for some of the great epic stories. And in my opinion, half of the time, no comic book media can scratch the levels of depth that some of these comics touch. So if you really have been
Dark
enjoying,
Phoenix, anybody? Dark Phoenix?
so if
Twice,
you've been
Fox.
enjoying,
Twice you can't get that story right. Why? Because it's perfect on paper.
absolutely, absolutely. And so yeah, go out there, grab these books, and in the comments, go ahead and give us some recommendations of things you guys have been reading.
Mhm.
There's so many books to kind of have on our radar that I have a couple blind spots. We come here on this show, and it's interesting to see what interests you versus what interests me. And odds are we'll end up reading all 10 somehow, you know. And so if you guys have recommendations, I'm always excited for new series, new artists, new writers, regardless of publication. Go ahead, put them in the comment section below. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and close the doors here on episode 2 of Major Previews. You can go ahead and support us by going to comicbookclick.com. There's a Patreon link there where you could donate and help us keep our lights on here and afford the hardware and the software we need to keep producing content like this. These shirts are available at comicbookclick.com. Just hit that
We
shop CBC
outside.
link all day. Hit that shop CBC link and help support us. We love what we do here, guys, and if we could, we would do this full time. So if you guys could help us do that as well, we'll only get better and we'll only give you guys better product. But that's gonna be it for Major Issues episode 2. We're moving, baby, on
That's
the
it.
road. My name is George Serrano, aka the Don.
And I'm Alex, aka Beeroke. But we outside, baby. Let's keep this going. Can't wait for episode 3.
Episode 3 will be on its way, and always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.